Good afternoon. The video printer is running. We have reporters at 20 of today's games. We're going to chart the closing stages of all today's football matches. Plenty of time for scorelines to change. Here in the studio, Gavin, Peacock, Martin Keown and Garth Crooks are paying close attention to the Barclays Premier League games underway. Let's get the latest news on those matches. Manchester United lead the table on goal difference ahead of an away game at Reading. Reading kicked off a point above the relegation places. Ivan Gaskell reporting.
Yes, around about 20 minutes to go here. 0-0, one of the better 0-0s I think I've seen. United looking the more likely to score, particularly during this second half. They've dominated it, but too many chances have gone begging, caused often, though, by Reading's refusal to roll over. No goals, but don't rule it out.
So let's hear about second-place Arsenal playing away at second-bottom Fulham. Mark Webber.
Fulham 0, Arsenal 2. Fulham have probed like a lighthouse bulb piercing through fog, but the bright light of Arsenal, Emmanuel Adebayor, has been switched on and has used his head twice in the first half to take the lead. Fulham have had their chances. Dempsey just had a header offside, and there was a blazing shot over the bar by Danny Murphy in the first half. But Arsenal hold the grip. Fulham 0, Arsenal 2.
Away at Birmingham, a Birmingham side that walked out of relegation on goal difference only. David Garrido at St Andrews.
Birmingham 0, Chelsea 0. No let-up in the pace or the energy of this one. Chelsea could have gone ahead moments ago after some cheeky interplay between Nicolas Anelka and Florent Malouda, but Anelka then shot straight at Mike Taylor. For the hosts, the best chance in the second half has fallen to Sebastian Larsson in the 6-yard box after a superb bit of skill from Olivier Capo along the byline. In general, Chelsea's rhythm is being disrupted and they don't like it at all. And on top of that, concern as Sean Wright-Phillips went off in the first half with an ankle injury, although we have been told it was subbed as a precaution. Birmingham 0, Chelsea 0.
Stoke 11 unbeaten, make it 12 unbeaten, fourth in the Championship table, going to climb. Tottenham have 8 points to climb to get down to the top half of the table. Third bottom Sunderland, one of 4 clubs on 20 points at 3 o'clock. Mark Bishop's at White Hart Lane.
It's Tottenham 1, Sunderland 0. Sunderland haven't won in the league at White Hart Lane for almost 30 years. Still Spurs in control, but Sunderland look far more threatening in the second half after Keane read the riot act to his side at half-time. Chopra causing plenty of problems since coming off the bench to replace Stokes. Chopra almost got a touch on Murphy's cross. Kenwyne Jones' effort ruled out for offside, and then Murphy's effort whistled over the crossbar. At the other end, Berbatov's effort took a deflection for a corner, and Gordon in goal for Sunderland had a magnificent performance, tipping away a free kick from Tom Huddleston. Still 1-0 to Tottenham.
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th don't play today. That's Liverpool, Everton, Aston Villa, Manchester City, all on 39 points. 8th place Blackburn knew they could join those 4 clubs on 39 points by beating Middlesbrough. Andrew James reporting.
Well, it's Blackburn 0, Middlesbrough 1, Ray, and it's a tasty, spicy game here at Ewood Park. David Wheater's goal early on for Middlesbrough separates the two sides, and Wheater had a header thumping on the crossbar just a few moments ago. But it's other situations around the pitch that are taking the headlines. Mark Hughes, the Blackburn manager, completely losing his cool a few moments ago, rolling the ball quite fiercely into the back of a prostrate Middlesbrough player, Jeremy Aliadier. That sparked fierce scenes on the touchlines, and also a really bad miss from Tungai, which will be worth watching later on this evening, when he really should have put Boro 2-0 to the good. It's Blackburn 0, Middlesbrough 1.
Well, next up is Fratton Park. Roger Johnson's watching Portsmouth play bottom of the table Derby.
It's Portsmouth 3, Derby County 1. The home fans had waited 9 hours and 38 minutes for a Portsmouth goal. They've had 3 and a 17-minute burst either side of half-time, all from Benjani. His hat-trick, a close-range turn and shot, a free header and a free-flowing finish has all but killed off Derby, who took the lead here through Lewin Nyatanga's 4th-minute tap-in. Portsmouth 3, Derby 1.
Goal.
Still time for scorelines to change in those matches. West Bromwich Albion 2, Cardiff 3. Big game in the Championship. League leaders Albion fighting back. Newcastle and Bolton kick off at 5:15. Kevin Keegan's returned for his second spell as manager. Has been widely acclaimed by Newcastle fans. There's Kevin Keegan arriving at St James's Park earlier this afternoon. Blackburn this afternoon playing Middlesbrough. Developments, Andrew James.
It's an equalising goal, Ray, for Blackburn. Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 1. Matt Derbyshire came on as a substitute not too long ago, and he got on the end of it after Jason Roberts fired a shot across goal. It was a wayward effort from Roberts that was going nowhere, but Derbyshire was right placed at the right time to give Blackburn an equalising goal that, frankly, they don't deserve. Middlesbrough could have been 3-0 up at this stage, but it's Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 1.
Did you see the equaliser go?
Yeah, Andrew James right again. This game should be on Blackburn. I mean, Middlesbrough should be 3-0 up, and they've wasted this opportunity.
Well, let's go to the Majeski Stadium. Reading against Manchester United. Ivan Gaskell.
Reading 0, Manchester United 1. It had begun to look inevitable. There's a double act watching. French and Saunders are guests here today. Another double act on the pitch has scored the goal. Tevez to Rooney. They were on the same wavelength. Rooney's finish sublime past Hanneman. It's 1-0 United.
Well, Arsenal were leading. Important. Manchester United got a goal. Great finish.
Oh, it's a wonderful finish. It's a beautiful ball from Tevez, but the finish is just sublime. And what he does, what all good strikers do, and he gets between the centre-backs. You can criticise defending if you want, but when the ball comes to him, Rooney has it all to do, and it's the deftest of touches.
It's the ball and the finish. The ball is a killer ball.
It's Bergkamp-like, isn't it?
And the touch is a killer. You couldn't defend it.
No.
On the subject of Arsenal, Adebayor, is he getting as good as Henry?
Well, he's certainly in the air. He looks a better proposition at the moment. Scored two great goals today with his head. It's been fascinating watching Reading and Manchester United and Birmingham, Chelsea. So many similarities. The bottom teams scrapping for points, and at the top of the table exactly the same. And Manchester United now broken through.
Spot on.
Are Chelsea going to pull something out the bag here? Because Manchester United leading now, Arsenal leading. What about Chelsea?
Well, the pressure's on Chelsea. Now, Birmingham put up a great first half. They really did. Then they had chances as well, and really should have gone in 1-0 up at least. Now, Chelsea have come into it second half, and Nelker's had a couple of half chances. One, I would say, was better than a half chance almost, and he should have tucked it away. But it's all Chelsea at the moment.
To Scotland, an Edinburgh derby played at lunchtime. Andy Gill is reporting.
Hearts' first league win since November the 11th, and the Derby honours as well. They deserved their victory for a first-half performance in which they dominated proceedings and could easily have scored more than one goal. That came from the head of Andrius Velička, who nodded the ball over the line as it was headed back across the area from a corner. The home side couldn't maintain their form in the second half, but Hibs were unable really to threaten the Hearts' goal, despite bringing leading scorer Stephen Fletcher into the action. In the end, Hearts could have extended their advantage, but the one goal was enough for a most important win.
1 win in 6 games for Brighton. They're ahead at home to Huddersfield. Tommy Elphick on 74 minutes. Brighton 1, Huddersfield 0. League leaders Rangers, by the way, on the SPL play tomorrow. Second place Celtic have a home game with Kilmarnock. They kicked off 4 points behind Rangers. Ian Turner reporting.
Well, Celtic in front, but it's an own goal from Kilmarnock defender Martin Corrigan that's put them there. It looked as if Celtic would never get the ball past an inspired Alan Combe, but the keeper was left helpless when Scott Brownslow's shot was deflected home. Kelly have defended resolutely, keeping out McDonald, Riordan and Nakamura, but now they've had to change their game plan and look for a goal. 1-0 Celtic.
Also in the SPL, 5th place Dundee United versus 4th placed Aberdeen. Brian McLaughlin reporting.
They now lead by 2 goals to 0, and it's Barry Robson, the captain of Dundee United, to score a terrific goal it was. Danny Swanson down the right-hand side, cut the ball across 18-yard box, and there was Robson, terrific left-foot shot beyond Jamie Langfield. Dundee United 2, Aberdeen 0.
Chelsea.
Still time for the situation to change in those matches this afternoon. News on today's Coca-Cola Championship games now. One result already in, a result of a Sheffield Derby that Peter Slater watched at Hillsborough.
More than 30,000 turned up for the 119th Still City Derby, but it was the blue half of Sheffield which left happy. A thoroughly deserved victory achieved with a goal in each half. Akpo Sodje in the 25th minute, Marcus Tudgay 14 minutes from time, the impressive Jermaine Johnson involved in both. The pressure will increase on Brian Robson, although his Sheffield United team had their moments, especially at the start of the second half. He said afterwards that it's time to change things around at Bramall Lane. As for his opposite number, Brian Laws hasn't stopped smiling.
To St Andrews, David Garrido watching Birmingham against Chelsea.
And Chelsea have taken the lead with time running out. Claudio Pizarro from a corner from the right-hand side, dived in at the near post. It was Sebastian Larsson who desperately tried to clear it off the line with his own head, but didn't manage to do so. And with Manchester United and Arsenal leading, Chelsea are keeping up the pace. It's Birmingham 0, Chelsea 1.
A vital goal, absolutely vital goal.
From the substitute, Pizarro had to come on in the first half. He's still yet to win over the Chelsea fans. I said that they were turning out the pressure. It's their 9th corner, that of the game, Chelsea, and a real relief. Saw Alec McLeish's face as well, because his team have put so much into this.
They've done it in such a different way to Man United, haven't they? Man United score these lovely, pretty goals. Chelsea just They almost urged it over the line. A very scrappy performance, but they get the necessary points.
If you want to be taken seriously, you score goals in the last 5 or 10 minutes, don't you?
You're absolutely right. Arsenal have been cruising best part of the game. Manchester United have had to work very hard. They've got the breakthrough and a great goal. And Chelsea have responded. So they're all still in contention. And it's as though they've all been sort of listening to each other's results and have had to respond accordingly.
The Championship leaders West Bromwich Albion are playing Cardiff at the Hawthorn. Steve Lee reporting.
Well, it's West Brom 2, Cardiff 3. It's never, ever dull at the Hawthorns, even when Tony Mowbray's side have an off day. Martin Albrechtson's just poured a goal back for them from Chris Brunt's cross, and we have a frantic last 12 minutes left. Paul Parry got things underway with a goal after 28 seconds for Cardiff. He got a second after 33. West Brom pulled one back in the first half through Bednar, but Joe Ledley exploited some really bad defending to make it 3-1 for Cardiff, and they were heading for their first ever league win here. First ever win here since 1957. We have a tremendous finale in store. It's West Brom 2, Cardiff 3.
All right, let's go to Fulham. Fulham playing Arsenal. Developments at Craven Cottage. Mark Webber.
Fulham 0, Arsenal 3. Eduardo let loose on the left, passed the ball. It was inch perfect because it was dallying with the line. Rosicky was on the right, got it over with, I don't know what body part it was, it doesn't matter. It's across the line, and Arsenal now find themselves 3 up.
Well, Arsenal sort of very impressive this afternoon. This has been sort of, I'm tempted to say cruise control.
Well, yeah, but the manner of the goals have impressed me today because they've got to the byline. They failed to deal with the wide players, Fulham, from Arsenal. Here's another cross and another great finish arriving late in the box, and this time it's Rosicky. And he's been a revelation today. He's drifted past people. I think they missed him last week with the flu, and they're pleased to see him back today.
1 point from 12 for new Fulham boss Roy Hodgson. Fulham second bottom. Crystal Palace have climbed from the relegation places to the playoff places in 11 games in the Championship. They're at home to second place Bristol City. Latest news from Robin Bailey.
They have, and Palace still lead 1-0. The catalyst, of course, for that fantastic run from bottom 3 to top 6 has been Clinton Morrison. He's got his 11th goal in 13 games today, although he didn't know an awful lot about it. That was in the 6th minute. Palace have been the better side, but in the second half, Bristol City really turned up the heat, and you can see why Neil Warnock is really angry at the 4th official. He's all over him all the time because of the high challenges that those Bristol City defenders have been putting in. It's just pure effort. They're stretching for this equaliser. It hasn't come yet. It's 1-0 to Palace.
Wasn't sure you were allowed to do that. Never mind. 4th place Stoke, 11 games unbeaten, going to a home game with 3rd bottom Preston. Dan Walker reporting.
I think we can make that 12 rate. A good game this one. Leon Court and Richie Creswell scored in the first half. Creswell's after an awful error from Andy Lonergan in the Preston goal. But there was something of a second half fight back. Chris Brown scored his first from the club to make it 2-1. But Leon Court's just grabbed his third about a second, and Stoke's third about 10 minutes ago. And it could be 4 now with Pugh, who fires over the top of the bar. Stoke 3, Preston 1.
Swindon have a new manager, Maurice Malpass. They've drawn the last 3. If they get 3 points this afternoon at home to second place Nottingham Forest, be a terrific victory for them. Ian Breakin's own goal, 8 minutes in time, looks like it's given 3 points to Swindon. Swindon 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Back to the Championship, a point outside the playoffs. Ipswich terrific at home, unbeaten in 14. Away from home, haven't won in 13, and they're away today at Blackpool. Richard Askham reporting.
The drawing rate still 1 apiece, but only because of a great save from Neil Alexander in the Ipswich goal. Kasper's Gorks with a thundering header that was brilliantly tipped over. Ipswich have had Cito sent off, but are battling hard, given hope after John Walter's strike cancelled out Blackpool's opener from Klaus Jurgensen.
In League One, the leaders Swansea are leading. Darren Fletcher is following a Yorkshire derby between Leeds and Doncaster, 3rd versus 5th at kick-off.
Yeah, Doncaster, Ray, 5 minutes away from their first ever victory here at Elland Road. They're in front by a 0-0, scored by Brian Stock with a free kick in the first half. And they really have taken the game to Leeds in the second half. They've had the majority of the chances. Dennis Wise has made 3 changes, but he just hasn't been able to find the right kind of formation and the right kind of ability in this Leeds team to create an opportunity to score a goal. Neil Sullivan, the former Leeds goalkeeper, has had very little to do for Doncaster at the other end. Could be a very big day in Doncaster's history. Leeds 0, Doncaster 1.
Dundee United wrapping up the points in the SPL. Also in League One, latest on Orient's match with Luton. Now Orient close to the playoffs. Luton in trouble. Andy Barwell.
And it's 2-1 to Leyton Orient, who need the win here to get back into the playoff picture. Adam Boyd scored against his old side. Andy Bircham on a long run added a second. But Keith Keane has got one back for Luton after a comical attempt by Orient keeper Stuart Nelson to punch it clear. A first game in charge for Luton boss Mick Harford, but his side are losing 2-1 to Leyton Orient.
Let's hear about that Dundee United goal from Brian McLaughlin.
A terrific goal it was as well. Once again from the captain, Barry Robson. This time free kick, 20 yards out, low into the bottom corner. United 3, Aberdeen 0.
Let's go to Home Park. Hamish Marshall watching Plymouth against Southampton. Plymouth hoping for their first points and goals of 2008.
Well, they got the goal, Ray. It's Plymouth 1, Southampton 1. The initiative is with Plymouth. Peter Howe-Mosi, who set up Rory Fallon's equaliser, has had a shot tipped onto the post by the impressive Kelvin Davis. Bradley Knight-Phillips kept his cool to put Saints ahead early on, but they've been on the back foot pretty much since. It's Plymouth 1, Southampton 1.
Still time for scorelines to change. Minutes to go in this afternoon's matches. Scunthorpe and Wolves both in need of victories. Both clubs on a bad run. Steve Sutton reporting.
Yes, Ray, it looks as if Wolves' bad run, remember, no win in 8 is about to come to an end. They lead by 2-0. Goals in each half. Dave Edwards in the first half, and then Sylvan Ebanks Blake in the second, just after the restart. He could have had a hat-trick. He's seen one cleared off the line, and another one just flashed across the face of the goal. Scunthorpe have had chances, but they've missed them. Wolves lead 2-0.
First away win in 9 for Tranmere Rovers, maybe. They've taken the lead 3 minutes in time through Anthony Kay away at Millwall. Millwall 0, Tranmere Rovers 1. Fourth bottom Queen's Park Rangers kicked off third bottom above the relegation places. Barnsley looking for their first win in 8. Tony Lockwood at Loftus Road.
QPR 2, Barnsley 0. Patrick Agermang, one of 9 new arrivals at Loftus Road, made it 2 goals in 2 games to have Rangers an early advantage. Built on by Rowan Vine in the closing minutes of the first half. His 1-2 with Agermang worked a treat. Vine bundling the ball home. Barnsley can't finish, and no end in sight for the visitors' loss of form. Rangers 2, Barnsley 0.
Staying in the Championship, Coventry nearer the relegation places than the playoff places. Alan Biggs is watching their home match with Burnley.
Yeah, Ray, Coventry are careering towards the drop zone. Coventry 1, Burnley 2. Coventry reduced to 10 men by Kevin Kyle's sending off in the second half for 2 bookings. That was with the scores level. Since then, Michael Misford should have had a penalty, I thought. He was tripped by David Unsworth in the box. No penalty. It was a turning point because Burnley swept upfield. Akinbaye, who scored their opening goal, supplied one for Robbie Blake, which could prove to be the winner. Akinbaye put Burnley ahead in the opening half. Michael Hughes then produced a shot which was saved, and Michael Doyle pounced for the equaliser. It's Coventry 1, Burnley 2.
A full-time whistle starting to trickle through. Peterhead 9, Berwick 2. There's a match this afternoon. Stuart Mackay has a hat-trick a minute from time. Peterhead 9, Berwick 2. Ross County 3, Airdrie United 2. Full-times in Scotland are starting to come through. In the Championship, news on the Norwich-Leicester match from Carrie Davis.
There's about 4 minutes left to play, Ray, and I can tell you it's still Norwich 0, Leicester 0. Norwich really pushing for a goal. Gary Doherty's just headed wide. Jamie Curitan on as a sub, let rip from the left-hand side, but his shot was parried wide by Ben Ulwick. For Leicester, really, Barry Hales is on as a substitute as well. He's had a shot hit the post, but Norwich really do look the most likely to score. A couple of minutes left to play in normal time. It's still Norwich 0, Leicester 0.
And still time for winning goals. Where should we go next? Should we go to Crystal Palace against Bristol City? Robin Bailey.
5 minutes on the clock. Selhurst Park is rocking, and it's because Palace are 2-0 up here. Mark Hudson, the captain, a glancing header from a terrific free kick which had the Bristol City defence at 6s and 7s. Basso in goal for Bristol, didn't know which way to go. Terrific header, good performance by Palace, and this is going to be 15 games unbeaten.
Not quite over yet, a White Hart Lane. Could be time for another goal. Mark Bishop.
Sunderland are throwing everything at Tottenham, Ray. Spurs 1, Sunderland 0. But why didn't Roy Keane's side play like this in the first half? They've been terrific in this second half. We've just seen a brilliant save from Cherney to deny Miller. And then Robbie Keane came off the bench to try and get his 100th goal for Tottenham, but he hasn't had a look in. Kenwyn Jones's effort ruled offside. And then Chopper's effort cleared off the line by Dawson. How on earth that didn't go in? Everything to play for still. Tottenham 1, Sunderland 0.
A late goal at the Hawthorn. Steve Lee.
Yes, it's now West Brom 3, Cardiff 3. The big pink illuminated sign says boing, boing, and well it might. An own goal in the end from, I think, Cardiff's Roger Johnson after an avalanche of West Brom pressure. They're putting men forward, they're throwing crosses in, and all this after they were 3-1 down at one stage. West Brom 3, Cardiff 3.
That sounds like a cracking game. Are Spurs going to hang on here, Garth?
Well, if they do, they need to thank Sherney, because I've just seen the best save of the day. It was a fantastic double save. Saves the first one, he's full stretch, and somehow gets his hand to the second one, and Spurs are still winning 1-0. Tremendous game.
Final whistles going all round the country. A lot of the games in Scotland coming to a conclusion. Still playing at the Madejski Stadium, Ivan Gaskell.
Yes, nail-biting stuff. Reading really are pushing for an equaliser here. James Harper's just dragged one narrowly wide. Ronaldo's had such a frustrating afternoon. It started with a narrow shot that went whistling wide in 43 seconds. He's also had a succession of chances which he's failed to convert. Head in hands time for him, but United holding on.
Top three all winning to St Andrews. David Garrido.
Birmingham 0, Chelsea 1. The visitors trying to calm things down a bit as they hang on for the points. Birmingham have had a succession of corners as they go in search of the equaliser. James McFadden has come off the bench for his debut and he fired a shot straight at Petr Cech, who saved well with his legs. Nicholas Anelka's also had a fly, finally getting involved in this game, but Mike Taylor was equal to it. Not pretty from Chelsea, not a vintage performance, but it looks like they're going to make it 6 wins in a row in all competitions. Birmingham 0, Chelsea 1.
Chelsea winning, Arsenal winning, Manchester United winning. Are we going to get a winning goal at Ewood Park? Andrew James.
There, Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 1 way. We're into the last minute of stoppage time, and after 3 straight wins, Blackburn look like they've had to salvage a point today from a game they should have lost emphatically. Matt Derbyshire, the substitute's equaliser, was a somewhat fortunate redirection of a wayward effort from Jason Roberts, but Middlesbrough should have been home and dry by then. Ahead through David Wheater's early goal. Wheater later hit the bar, and Tunjai swapped his goal of the season contender of last month for a miss of the season contender today. And look out later for action against Mark Hughes after the Rovers manager angrily heard the ball into the back of Jeremy Aliadier. It's Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 1.
Another goal at the Madejski Stadium, Ivan Gaskell.
Let's be honest, you can't keep a good man down. Reading 0, Manchester United 2. Ronaldo, a full length of the pitch run, cool finish, reward at last. 2-0 United.
Now let's go to White Hart Lane. Mark Bishop, a goal.
You couldn't write the script, Ray. Tottenham 2, Sunderland 0. Guess who scored? Robbie Keane has come off the bench. His 100th goal for Tottenham. And all this against the run of play. Cherney with 2 brilliant saves to deny Miller and then Collins. But Keane has stolen into the box. A slip by the goalkeeper, Gordon, and the ball's gone over the line. 2-0 to Tottenham.
You mentioned before the game, Ronaldo warms up on his own, does all his little tricks, and then once the game starts, he's just terrific to watch.
He is. I mean, running with the ball, he's probably the best in the world, without doubt. His decision-making as well is what's improved for me this season. I was crying out for him to release that ball, and he went on his own in the end, and it was the right thing to do. I mean, he's been brilliant. All credit to Reading. They stuck to their task. It didn't really come off for them, but it was a matter of time, really, I felt, before Manchester United scored another one.
Carlisle have beaten Crewe by a goal to 0. That's an 8th successive home win for Carlisle, challenging for promotion. Stoke have beaten Preston by 3 goals to 1. Let's hear about that from Dan Walker.
Yes, Ray, Stoke's excellent run continues. 12 unbeaten now after Leon Court, who became the club's record signing this week, scored twice. His 16th minute header was added to by Richie Creswell after a shocker from Andy Lonergan in the Preston goal. The Championship strugglers did get back into it through Chris Brown, but within minutes, Court was busy heading in his second and Stoke's third to seal another precious win.
Gillingham 4 undefeated. They've been beaten today at home by Northampton by a goal to 0. Final whistle has gone at the Madejski Stadium. Reading against Premier League leaders Manchester United. Ivan Gaskell reporting.
Reading 0, Manchester United 2. When Cristiano Ronaldo went oh so close in just 43 seconds, you feared the worst for Reading, but they produced a performance of some spirit and resolve to repeatedly frustrate the leaders. Yet gradually United ground them down, and under the gaze of celebrity duo French and Saunders, United's own double act, Tevez and Rooney, brought a broad smile to the face of Sir Alex and co. Tevez with a sublime pass, Rooney's finish ridiculously skillful. Reading's effort almost rewarded late on by James Harper's shot. It went wide though, salt applied to the wound. Ronaldo ran the length of the pitch to coolly finish and wrap it all up. Reading 0, Manchester United 2.
Let's go to White Hart Lane. Tottenham against Sunderland. Tottenham trying to climb into the top half of the table. Sunderland trying to get out the relegation places. Mark Bishop.
It's finished at White Hart Lane. Tottenham 2, Sunderland 0. Robbie Keane has written himself into the record books, Ray, at White Hart Lane. His 100th goal for Tottenham after coming off the bench to replace captain Jermaine Defoe. His effort spilled over the line by the unfortunate goalkeeper for Sunderland, Craig Gordon. And all this after Sunderland had thrown just about the kitchen sink at Spurs in the second half. Terrific saves from Cherney, denied Miller, and then the excellent Kenwyn Jones. Jones thought he'd scored, but his effort was ruled offside. And then the terrific Michael Chopra flashed that effort just wide of the upright. Spurs dominated the first half. Berbatov hit the bar. An early goal from Aaron Lennon had sealed Spurs' victory in the end. 2-0 to Tottenham. It's finished.
Let's stay in the capital but go to Craven Cottage. Arsenal have won. Mark Webber.
Fulham 0, Arsenal 3. All good things must come to an end, Ray, and it's a shame the whistle's been blown on a match with more style than a Gucci warehouse after a bad sales drive. Emmanuel Adebayor opened the account with a header from deep in the Fulham area from a cross on the left. He switched sides later, picking up a Halep cross with a plum. Rosicky got the third with a sliding tap-in from an Eduardo cross, which exposed Fulham's inability to defend the edges. To be fair to Fulham, they attacked bravely in periods, but the finishing was poor. A case of heart were there, head wasn't, but unfortunately the head was there for Arsenal twice. Fulham 0, Arsenal 3.
And to St Andrews, Chelsea won the last 6. David Garrido.
Birmingham 0, Chelsea 1. Claudio Pizarro with a near post header. Sebastian Larsson on the goal line, not quite keeping it out. That's given the visitors all 3 points. Perhaps a bit harsh on Birmingham. They scrapped like terriers and had their own chances in the second half, namely from Larsson and substitute James McFadden making his debut. To use a Strictly Come Dancing reference, Chelsea weren't quite cha-cha-cha. It was more bish-bash-bosh, but frankly, they won't care. Birmingham 0, Chelsea 1.
To Ewood Park, Middlesbrough will be delighted to go home with a point. Andrew James.
All very frustrated not to have gone back with all three, Ray. Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 1. Matt Darbish's late goal, the equaliser for Blackburn against a Middlesbrough side who scored through David Wheater but could have scored 4 more, and appropriate of this kind of game that right at the end, the last action of the game, Ali Adier headed over the bar from barely a yard out. Blackburn got out of jail. Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 1.
And to Fratton Park, goals at last for Portsmouth. Roger Johnson.
It finished Portsmouth 3, Derby 1. Portsmouth have lost key players to the African Cup of Nations. Harry Redknapp will be glad Zimbabwe aren't involved, because Benjani Muwarawari's hat-trick gave the home fans their first goals here since September. A smart turn and shot, a free header and a free-flowing finish. Derby had taken the lead early with a Nyatunga tap-in, but their plight is increasingly desperate after yet another defeat. Portsmouth have beaten them here 3-1.
Let's go to Celtic Park in the SPL. Celtic at home to Kilmarnock today. Ian Turner.
On point, Celtic won this one very comfortably, but the ball statistics will show it took an own goal from Martin Corrigan to give Gordon Strachan side all 3 points. Kelly keeper Alan Combe was in great form, and McDonald, Riordan and Brown, try as they might, just could not beat him. But finally, he was rendered helpless as Brown's 18-yard shot was deflected into the corner of the net. A great effort from Kilmarnock, but in the end, a deserved win for Celtic. Celtic 1, Kilmarnock 0.
They close the gap on Rangers to a point. Rangers play tomorrow. Closing stages at the Hawthorn. Steve Lee is watching. Championship leaders West Bromwich Albion play Cardiff. Cracking match.
What a game this has been. The final whistle has just gone. Breathless stuff. West Brom 3, Cardiff 3. Tony Mowbray's Kevin Keegan-like philosophy has produced a 6-goal thriller here in front of 22,000 at the Hawthorns. They grabbed an unlikely point when all seemed lost. A Roger Johnson own goal, I think, earned that point for West Brom. Cardiff were 2 up through 2 Paul Parry goals. Roman Bednar headed one back for Albion, only for Joe Ledley to make it 3-1 for Cardiff. Martin Albrechtsen headed an Albion second. Then came that own goal and 6 minutes of added time. It's fair to say defences weren't on top. 3-3.
In League One, full-time at Elland Road and history for Doncaster. Darren Fletcher.
Leeds 0, Doncaster 1. Memorable day for Doncaster, their first ever win at Elland Road, and fully deserved. They coped with an awful pitch much better and even managed to play some decent football despite the conditions. Brian Stock scored the only goal, a free kick in the first half to extend their unbeaten run to 11 games away from home and lift them above their Yorkshire rivals in the table. As for Leeds, they offered little, and it's now 3 defeats in 5 games. Over 31,000 were here. It's one of those pinch yourself days for Doncaster. Leeds 0, Doncaster 1.
It's been quite an afternoon. All the results are just about in. Time for Tim Gudgeon to confirm today's final scores.
In the Barclays Premier League, Birmingham City 0, Chelsea 1. Blackburn Rovers 1, Middlesbrough 1.
Fulham 0, Arsenal 3. Newcastle United and Bolton Wanderers kick off this evening. Portsmouth 3, Derby County 1. Reading 0, Manchester United 2. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Sunderland 0. On to the Coca-Cola Championship, Blackpool 1, Ipswich Town 1. Colchester United's match with Hull City postponed. Coventry City 1, Burnley 2. Crystal Palace 2, Bristol City 0. Norwich City 0, Leicester City 0. Plymouth Argyle 1, Southampton 1. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Barnsley 0. Scunthorpe United 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Sheffield United 0. Stoke City 3, Preston North End 1. Watford and Charlton Athletic kick off this evening. West Bromwich Albion 3, Cardiff City 3. League 1, Bournemouth 1, Southend United 4. Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Huddersfield Town 1. Bristol Rovers 1, Walsall 1. Carlisle United 1, Crewe Alexandra 0. Gillingham 0, Northampton Town 1. Leeds United 0, Doncaster Rovers 1. Leyton Orient 2, Luton Town 1. Millwall 0, Tranmere Rovers 1. Swansea City 2, Port Vale 0 is the latest score. Swindon Town 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Yeovil Town 0, Oldham Athletic 0. League 2, several postponed matches here. Accrington, Stanley and Brentford, Barnet, Peterborough United, Bury and Stockport County all postponed. Dagenham and Redbridge 0, Grimsby Town 0. Macclesfield Town and Lincoln City's match postponed. Mansfield Town 0, Darlington 1. Notts County 1, Chester City 0. Rochdale's match with Bradford City postponed. Rotherham United 1, Wycombe Wanderers 1. Shrewsbury Town 2, Morecambe 0. Wrexham 1, Milton Keynes Dons 0. In the Blue Square Premier, Aldershot Town 0, Forest Green Rovers 1. Altrincham 2, York City 2. Burton Albion 4, Northwich Victoria 1. Crawley Town 4, Rushton and Diamonds 1. Grays Athletic 2, Cambridge United 1. Halifax Town and Stafford Rangers and Histon and Ebbsfleet United matches both postponed. Kidderminster Harriers 2, Farsley Celtic 1. Salisbury 0, Torquay United 0. Stevenage Borough 5, Droylsden 0. Weymouth 0, Woking 1. The Clydesdale Bank Scottish Premier League, Celtic 1, Kilmarnock 0. Dundee United 3, Aberdeen 0. Gretna 2, Falkirk 0. Hearts 1, Hibernian 0. St Mirren 3, Motherwell 1. Under Scottish Division 1, Clyde 1, Dundee 1. Dunfermline Athletic 0, St Johnstone 1. Morton 0, Queen of the South 3. Partick Thistle 3, Hamilton Academical 0. Stirling Albion 1, Livingston 4. Div 2 in Scotland, Ayr United 3, Alloa Athletic 1. Brechin City 0, Cowdenbeath 1. Peterhead 9, Berwick Rangers 2. Queen's Park 0, Wraith Rovers 1. Ross County 3, Airdrie United 2. And Scottish Div 3, Albion Rovers 2, East Stirling 2. Arbroath 2, Elgin City 0. East Fife 3, Forfar Athletic 0. Stenhousemuir 0, Montrose 0. Stranraer 2, Dumbarton 0. In the Welsh Premier, Bangor City 1, Welshpool Town 0. Carmarthen 2, Newtown 1. Connors Quay and Haverfordwest and Llangefni Town and Neath's matches both postponed. Port Talbot 1, the New Saints FC 0. Fort Madoc and Airbus UK match postponed. Rhyl 3, Carnarvon 1.
One late kick-off. It's a result in Coca-Cola League 1, and it's Swansea. The leaders have beaten Port Vale by 2-0 to maintain their lead at the top of the table. Gavin Peacock, Martin Keown and Garth Crooks have watched this afternoon's Premier League matches. We'll hear their opinions on today's performances after we've looked at the updated league tables. And in the Barclays Premier League, Manchester United stay top on goal difference thanks to Rooney and Ronaldo's late goals at Reading. Arsenal keeping up the pressure. Their 3-0 win at Fulham means they've won all 7 London derbies they've played this season. Chelsea remain 4 points behind the leaders after winning 1-0 at Birmingham, their 6th straight win in all competitions. Liverpool play Aston Villa at Anfield on Monday. Everton are at Wigan tomorrow. Derby's 3 undefeated Portsmouth means Paul Jewell's side are a massive 13 points from safety. Fulham also remain in trouble after losing at home to Arsenal. And Sunderland lost to Tottenham to stay in the bottom three. Their 2-0 defeat means they've now lost their last 14 Premier League games in London. Wigan, Birmingham and Bolton are above Sunderland on goal difference. Bolton kick off against Newcastle in a few minutes' time. In the Coca-Cola Championship, West Bromwich Albion extend their lead to 3 points after fighting back from 3-1 down to snatch a point against Cardiff. Bristol City lost at informed Crystal Palace, who are up to 5th after stretching their unbeaten run to 15 games now. Watford kick off against Charlton in a few minutes' time, while Ipswich's wait for an away win continues, but they drew with Blackpool. Colchester stay bottom after their game with Hull was called off due to a waterlogged pitch. Scunthorpe remain in trouble after losing to Wolves, while Preston were beaten at Stoke. Sheffield Wednesday are 4 points clear of the relegation zone after winning their 120th Steel City derby, while the new-look Queen's Park Rangers side defeated Barnsley 2-0. Coca-Cola League One. Leader Swansea bounced back from their FA Cup shock at Havant and Waterlooville with victory over Port Vale. Roberto Martinez's side now 5 points clear. Carlisle climbed to second after an 8th successive home win. They beat Crewe 1-0. Nottingham Forest slipped to third. They scored 2 own goals to lose 2-1 at Swindon. Doncaster up to 4th after a great win at Leeds. The first time they've won at Ellen Road ever. Leeds slipped to 5th. Bournemouth stay bottom after a heavy 4-1 defeat against Southend. Port Vale above Bournemouth on goal difference. They lost the lead to Swansea. Luton have new owners but defeated Leyton Orient, keeps them firmly in the bottom three. Millwall stay in the relegation zone after losing 1-0 at home to Tranmere Rovers. And let's look at Coca-Cola League Two. An incredible result at the racecourse ground, with leaders MK Dons beaten 1-0 by lowly Wrexham. Neil Roberts' goal cuts the gap to the top to 7. However, Rotherham couldn't take full advantage, drawing 1-1 with Wickham. Third place Darlington made it 3 wins on the bounce against Mansfield. Hereford played Chesterfield on Monday night, while Peterborough's game at Barnet, one of 5 matches called off due to the waterlogged pitch. Wrexham stay bottom despite ending their 7-match losing streak in the best possible style. Mansfield remain in the relegation zone. Next to them an FA Cup tie against Middlesbrough. Dagenham and Redbridge 3 points above the trapdoor after their draw with Grimsby. Blue Square Premier League leaders Aldershot have a 6-point lead despite being beaten at home by Forest Green Rovers. Stevenage up to second after a 5-0 win against bottom side Droylsden. And there's confirmation that Droylsden remain bottom after that heavy defeat. Stafford Rangers above them on goal difference. Their match at Halifax was victim of the weather. And let's look at the Clydesdale Bank Scottish Premier League table. Rangers will look to restore their 4-point lead at the top when they play Inverness tomorrow. Celtic closed the gap today with a 1-0 victory against Kilmarnock. Elsewhere, Dundee United up to third after beating Aberdeen 3-0 at Tannadice. Great result for bottom side Gretna, who recorded their 2nd home win of the season against Falkirk. St Mirren up to 9th after beating Motherwell 3-1. Plenty of post-match reaction to come. And in the minutes to come, we'll be hearing from managers and players in the light of today's results. But first, here's the headlines from today's Barclays Premier League matches. Rooney and Ronaldo's late show keeps Manchester United top of the table. And Emmanuel Adebayor brace deepens Fulham's fears as Arsenal keep pace with United. Claudio Pizarro strikes as Chelsea steal all 3 points at St Andrews. Robbie Keane's 100th goal for Spurs seals a miserable afternoon for Roy Keane's Sunderland. Benjani's hat-trick ends Pompey's goal drought at Fratton Park as Derby suffered defeat number 18. Matt Derbyshire earns Blackburn a point, with Middlesbrough unable to capitalise on David Wheater's opener. And it's a 10:10 start for tonight's match of the day. As ever, all the goals, all the saves, all the major incidents from those games will be included in the programme, plus the action scenes and reaction to the Newcastle-Bolton game. Kevin Keegan about to kick off his 2nd spell as Newcastle manager. 10:10 start for match of the day. Garth Crooks, Rooney and Ronaldo becoming quite a double act for Manchester United.
Well, Rooney is a fantastic talent, but Ronaldo, I think, has been unplayable for the best part of the season. He took his goal brilliant today. Reading really worked hard to stay with United, but they couldn't. And the goal by Rooney was absolutely exquisite.
What about the Arsenal this afternoon?
Yes, back obviously a bad result last weekend. This week, the fullbacks raiding down the wings. Galeb coming in and Rosicky, I think, the outstanding player, and Adebayor just too much in the air once those balls were coming in, and Rosicky capping a fine display with a late goal for Arsenal. So business as usual for them.
Gavin, what's your view of Chelsea's performance today? Because Birmingham gave as good as they got for long periods of the game.
They did. It was hard work for Chelsea. Birmingham were organised, they were passionate, but they missed their opportunity in the first half to take the game. And if you miss chances against any of the top teams, they will make you pay. Chelsea turned the screw second half and made the breakthrough with Pizarro. Only downside for Chelsea, they lost Wright Phillips with an injury.
Let's head back to the Majeski Stadium now. John Motson watched the Reading-Manchester United match. What's your verdict, John?
They would expect to have won, but it was a game until the 77th minute, Ray, that they could have drawn quite easily. And indeed, the reason that they lost 2-0 was because they were putting everybody forward in an attempt to get back to 1-1, and Manchester United broke. And as you've said, Ronaldo got the second goal. I thought Manchester United played well within themselves for about an hour here today, but when they had to move up a gear, of course, they did so. And what a fight it's going to be now for the title, because as you've just said, the top three keep on winning.
Fabio Capello there today, John. Would have been impressed by Rooney overall, do you feel?
Yeah, well, he was sitting next to Sir Trevor Brooking. It wasn't the kind of game, I suppose, that he's used to seeing, although it was 0-0 at half-time, which I suppose he would have identified with to some extent. Yeah, I mean, Rooney got us Garth at a very good goal. I've seen him play better. I've seen Ronaldo play better. I've seen Manchester United play better, to be honest. But they had what they were required to do. And the other player he saw, possibly we haven't seen too much of him so far this season, was Owen Hargreaves, who, until he was taken off near the end, played quite a substantial role in the Manchester United midfield.
John, what about Reading's future in the Premier League?
Well, as I've said, this defeat, 4 in a row now, it's getting a little bit nervous for Steve Coppell. They've really got a difficult one next time out as well. They're away to Chelsea a week next Tuesday. So it's not getting any easier for Reading. They did give a debut late in the game here to Matejovski, the Czech international midfield player, who I think is going to be a useful addition. But for a club of Reading's resources, to have 3 players away at the African Cup of Nations and 3 other first-team men injured has really got them stretched. And I think Coppell will be glad when these 2 games are out the way and they can start to get involved with the mini-league at the bottom, which, of course, they've got to make sure they win.
John, if I can take you from the Majeski to St James's Park, what are your feelings about Kevin Keegan's return to Newcastle and what will happen there?
Well, I mean, I think we know what's going to happen in the sense of the crowd. It'll be emotional, it'll be expectant, it'll be enthusiastic, it'll be all those things that go with Keegan. Bolton Wanderers are on a bit of a downer at the moment without Anelka and El Hadj Diouf, so I'm expecting Newcastle to win Keegan's first game. Once the adrenaline just subsides a little, of course, it'll be what happens after that. Everybody's getting terribly overexcited about it, and I think probably it's best now to wait for 5 or 6 games and just assess precisely what impact he makes.
John, thanks very much. Now, these are the scenes at St James's Park. Newcastle about to play Bolton this evening, and Kevin Keegan is going to be walking out to be the manager of Newcastle United for the second spell. In fact, they're the teams on the way out. Gavin, you've played there for Newcastle. You can only imagine what the atmosphere's like.
Oh, and those players won't be able to wait to get out there, but Kevin's the one that the fans have come to see, and here he comes, and it will just be electric, and they will be boosted. The players will be boosted just by that surge of emotion. I mean, the noise there will be absolutely incredible. He's taken them almost to the title and to some heady days of great football once. He did it well for them as a player. Now, can he do it a third time? That's the question.
Garth, what do you see? Pros? Are there any cons of this appointment?
There's always the downside to any appointment, and the downside, I suppose, for Newcastle will be it's now time for reality. We're about to play football. All this razzmatazz, and that's what it is. I mean, he's great with the fans, he's great with the people, but in a few moments, it's football. And the players at Newcastle have got to live with the expectation. They've got to rise to the standard that's required to get Newcastle up the league.
But the adrenaline that's flying around St James's Park now, how can you see anything else but a Newcastle win here?
If you look at Keegan's face, he's got a permanent smile on his face. We've watched him come out through the tunnel. And those players will take that onto the pitch. I was interested, he identified Duff, he got into his ear, and
he can live with the expectation.
He's captain, yeah.
He can live with the expectation, but for how long? Is it going to be one game in 5, 2 games in 5?
He'll get time. Keegan will get time.
But the standard that is required is going to be 3 in 5, 4 in 5 if you're going to get in the top 4 or 5 positions in the table.
Notice that he's made Michael Owen captain.
Yes. Well, I think that's a very good move. He's got a lot of experience. He's a big match player. He's going to want Michael Owen around a lot longer than he's been of late.
Right, let's go back to Craven Cottage now. Arsenal won 3-0 away at Fulham to keep the pressure on Premier League leaders Manchester United. We can hear from Arsene Wenger.
Arsene, very well done. How did you find that?
I thought we didn't give chances away and we scored 3, and I think it's a very strong response to our last game in the last week, and shows how much this team is up for it, and overall I'm very pleased with the result, the way we played.
Were you at your best, or could you have gone up a gear?
Well, we were, I feel in the first half we played very, very well. In the second half we controlled the game and didn't give them a chance, and we still was maybe more in the locker if needed.
The players coming back today who've been maybe a little bit rusty because they've been out of the side, like Rosicky.
He scored a great goal, he contributed well. Overall, I'm very happy with the performance and with the message we gave out today, that we are in the derby today. We come out with 3-0. I think it's a fantastic result.
A word for Adebayor, who keeps up this goal-scoring run.
Well, he has shown again how dangerous he is when he's in the box, on crosses, and in an all-round game he was good as well. And I'm very happy that he scored from 2 crosses. When he's jumping, nobody can stop him.
Well, Chelsea stole all 3 points of the 1-0 victory over a battling Birmingham side. There's Chelsea boss Avram Grant.
Avram, a hard fought, but in the end a very important 3 points for you today.
Yes, it was very important. We want to stay in our position, which is good for the moment, because we want until all the injuries and the African players will come back to be in the top, and we won today. We would dominate the game. It was not a high-quality game, but at the end of the day, we deserve to win.
Though you dominated possession, were you frustrated there weren't clear opportunities for you to win?
Yes, I don't think we created so many opportunities. It was one very good opportunity in front of the goal, the others not so clear, but at the end of the day we won, so that's what's important.
I'm sure Birmingham will go away frustrated at chances they had and they hit the post and so on, but they gave you a proper game today, didn't they?
Yes, they defended very, very well with all the players. They was with high spirit, fought. They didn't create chances because it's from Peter Cech. The ball came from Peter Cech, but yes, they deserve, for a good word.
Chelsea third in the table. Just looking ahead to later tonight, there's coverage of the Masters Snooker Tournament at 6:10 and then again at 9:30. Alternatively, press the red button to see every ball potted. It's semi-final day in the Masters. Well, 2-horse race or 3-horse race in the Premier League title race?
3-horse, no doubt in my mind. Now, Anelka is at Chelsea, it's a 3-horse race.
How do you see it, Martin?
Chelsea have impressed me, really, because they don't really play with any real style at the moment. They've not really got great cohesion in their play, but they're getting the results. Manchester United look absolutely outstanding today, and, of course, Arsenal picking up 3
How do you see this, Gavin?
I think Newcastle in it now.
The Keegan factor puts them back in it.
Anything's possible with Kevin, that's for sure.
So, do you see...
3-horse race. I think Chelsea got a chance, outside chance.
Thanks, guys. Nearly time to say goodbye to BBC One viewers. A few reminders first, with much more football on the way. The score service will run in midweek via the red button or the BBC Sport website. And via the red button, you can stay with us here in the Final Score studio. Between now and 6 o'clock, all the results and tables will cycle on the screen. We'll get post-match reaction to today's results from up and down and across the country. But this is where we say goodbye to BBC One. Another Final Score next Saturday, of course. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.